I'm going to close the door. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. This is the part of the Wednesday morning lives where I take your questions that you can just type them into the comments on my Facebook group page, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, just like the book, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness. And I will channel an answer for you. I was just checking to see who's here to help us. And not only are the Akashic beings of light my masters, teachers, and loved ones in the Akashic Records, but also Anubis and all of your guides. Good morning, Rebecca Donald. Hey, honey bunch, how are ya? And there's Cheryl Malik. Oh, how nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a little while. That's great. And I will keep checking this Facebook group page for your questions because I'm all about that. That's really how I perform my best and be of service in the best way I possibly can, and how I help you put my gifts to work for you. So it gives me a great sense of purpose and being functioning as my soul had intended me to. So I'm looking to see if anybody else is posting. Sana Marie Wicks, bless you. And Kimball Lane is here. How nice to see you, Kimball. Bless you. It is a delight to see people are coming out of the woodwork here sometimes. And it always surprises me that I might do a reading for somebody and it'll be 5 years before I do another reading for them. And when the time's appropriate, the time is appropriate for you to have a reading. If it's not appropriate, it's not appropriate. And a lot of times people are learning after they have a reading, they intensify their connection with the divine so that they don't really need a lot of readings to sort out their lives. They got like a direct line to the divine, which you actually are all built with. And that's the whole purpose of the soul. In my book, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, here, I'll show you what it looks like. I wrote a book called Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, an Akashic Records Guide to Living a Fulfilled Life. And it's channeled. And this book also helps you intensify your connection with the divine so that you have a direct link there. But the book really explains that as we learn to embody our soul and our soul's light and the consciousness that the soul's light contains, we automatically become linked with the divine who created us. And my guides call her the great creatress. And I love that. I'm all about the divine feminine. It just fits for me. He, I don't think that the he God is at least not appropriate for me. I don't have an opinion. If it works for you, it does. Link with the divine in whatever way works for you. Good morning, Suzanne. Oh, and yay, you made it. I'm so happy and so fortunate to have all of you here. This is divine. It makes my day. Thank you very much. And hopefully I'm going to make your day by being useful. Let's see. What did this Facebook just do? Move me out of the group page? Okay. Right. It's easier to see your sometimes it's easier to see your questions when I go to the group page on my laptop here, instead of on how I see it on the phone. So it's a little tricky doing all the mechanics and the technology here, but I got you. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Oh, Cheryl says, amazing book. Bless you, Cheryl. I'm glad you like it. And let's see. She says, how am I doing? Is there a message for me now? So Cheryl, the Akashic beings of light are here to help you today. Greetings, our dear one. We know that you are making great strides in the Akashic records of your own soul, and that you're finding a certain kind of peace and resourcefulness within you through accessing your own Akashic records and through the amplification of the spiritual nature of your path these days. And really embracing that. We can see it in you, we feel it in you, we are with you, we are available to you at all times. And so whenever you think of the Akashic beings of light or the Akashic records, we are available to assist you. And this is the biggest difference, is that you are aware and you are knowing that you have that connection. And we are having Annie show the back of the neck and the back of the head and the upper shoulders and the opening that this divine or divinely inspired information from your Akashic records comes to you. It's literally channeling in the Akashic records. Very nice. And yes, exactly. It's all right to open up that voice box, that throat energy, and bring some beautiful, transparent, aquamarine like light into the voice box to clarify your words, purify your message, and to enable more love to come through your voice and your words and how you channel in the Akashic records. Good, good, good. Right. And you feel how your shoulders drop down and relax, and that the transmission is coming through you quite completely. Good morning, Cassandra Ross and Shannon Altman Hood. There we go. We got a full complement today. Let's see. All right. Suzanne Owen says, I have not been so diligent. Any messages for me today? The Akashic beings of light are here also to answer your questions. And understand that, Suzanne, your path, it makes kind of a rose shape. You go from the outside and you work petal to petal to petal. And some of it seems like sidetrack or distractions, but you are making big strides in setting up your life. You're rebuilding and rerouting so many aspects of every aspect of your life, your work, the way you eat, your exercise, how you make money, how you deal with the empty place inside of you that wants to be filled by the old ways. Men, sex, a new shirt, new pair of shoes, food, alcohol. So you are learning to fill in that empty place with the light of your soul. And that, as you go pedal to pedal to pedal in the spiral that makes up the rose and you get to the center of the flower, you find your true self. And parts of your true self are collected on the way. And so there is no shame involved in you actually living your life the way you are inspired to do, and to just continue expanding to include. So bringing all those details in from your expansion into your center point, and knowing that deep within you is the light of your soul, and that is what is really filling you up. That is what is sourcing your inspiration and fueling your desire to be healthy and attract people who with a higher vibration and similar goals and a spiritual connection, and who enlighten and inspire your spiritual connections. So continuing to be in that frame of mind as you go throughout your day. Leave off criticizing, or saying, I have not been so diligent. You've been diligent. You just have had your focus in different places. So it's nothing to be ashamed about in that sense. And this is your nature. This is your nature. It's how you do life. It's how you do you. So there really is no fault in that. There is no criticism, and the guides do not criticize you ever. They just don't. They love you where you are right now. And so all of you who are listening, take that as a message to all of you. The guides love you as you are right now. That's right. And we support you every step of the way. It is a very complicated, intense thing to live an embodied life. There's the physical, there's the emotional, there's the mental, there's the spiritual, there's relationships, there is work, there is family, all of these elements can be very complicated to package into one heart and one experience without sacrificing your parts of your truth. And you are here to learn, and so learn you must, and learn you are, and learn you will. And along the way, you are making choices, and that's the exercise of free will. Much of your divine plan is encoded in your soul, and your soul has set up specific experiences for you to experience with other souls who are playing their parts in your lives. And that will always carry through. But along the way, you're navigating by little choices, and it may be a choice about what you eat today, or whether or not you drink, or whether or not you exercise a good habit or a bad habit, or you step forward into faith in the divine, in her love for you, and trust in the divine. These are really important elements. There's a lot of support to be had in the book Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, an Akashic Records Guide to Living a Fulfilled Life, because it's all about learning to work in your soul's Akashic Records and learning to be aware of and interact with the divine, because your soul is a link to the divine. Suzanne says, thank you. Yes, some days feels like I'm not making the strides I need. Of course, you know, good days, bad days. It's all part of the path. It's all part of the work, and you're not faulted in the spiritual realm for having setbacks or choosing what you choose. You know, it just, they realize that criticism doesn't do anybody any favors. The guides always demonstrate unconditional love, validation, support, and upliftment. They're not gonna co-sign your BS. They won't do that. They just respond with a much more vital, alive message that is directed at your soul and to your soul, to the depths of who you are within, and bring that forward by speaking to you as your soul. So it's one of the things I love about channeling, as it gets past my own inner critic, it gets past my own inner judgment, it overrides a lot of stuff that normally would um, deplete me, demean me, you know, but that's all self-generated. And when I embody my soul's light, I function as my soul. I start to see you all through the eyes of my soul, through the eyes of the divine. How does the divine see this person? How is the divine knowing this person? What's the truth about this person? Just refresh my page and see if there are any other questions showing up. I literally love channeling for you guys. And there are no dumb questions. There are no bad questions. Everybody wants to know the answer. You're just trying to get through life, and it's not easy. This is a challenging life, especially nowadays. I mean, the positions of the planets, and I'm not an astrologer, but I follow it because I know that the positions of the planets affect me. And if I can expand to include that perspective, I have a better chance of going, okay, I don't have to make this a criticism about myself. This is some pressures that are existing in the astral world, or the planetary world, and I can take that into account and include that. Cheryl Mullock says, thank you so much for that wonderful message. You are so welcome. I'm so glad. You know, that's the point. You know, I always thought growing up that if I didn't have the answer, I got this message from my father, or this idea I used to ascribe to my father. He's now dead, so I can go to him for some information, thank goodness, if I need to. But I got the sense from him that whenever I had a question or I didn't know the right answer, I was in danger, like I was out of control. And that was, you know, bad. Essentially, that's how my personality took it. It was a bad thing because I had a question and I didn't know the answer. And, you know, until I had the answer, I was not going to be in good shape, or I wouldn't be safe, or something like that. But working with the guides, I understand now that questions are part of the way we grow. And I'm not talking about questioning yourself like self-doubt, but like, well, what's the higher purpose of this relationship? Or why the heck did I have 3 tubal pregnancies, a miscarriage, and a failed adoption? Or, you know, how come I've never gotten a job, a straight job, and just stuck with it and really built a career out of that? But guess what? I'm built to do this. And clearly I've stuck with it for 34 years now. It's like, it's been the right choice all along. But so you're not in danger if you have difficult questions that you need to answer. Cheryl Moak says, I might be called to speak or write a book at some point. Is this in alignment for me? I am not sure of the message, but I keep thinking this. Oh, you're welcome, Cheryl. She says I'm amazing. Okay. Yes, the book is important. And the timeline is fairly free form. It probably won't be starting until for another 2 to 3 years, unless you get the message that it's now urgent, and then you will start acting upon that and start writing on that. And we encourage you to have us assist you in fulfilling this work. You're going to be called upon to speak, especially if you write a book, because you'll be talking about your book, and you'll be talking about the subject matter of your book, and you'll be talking about the process of writing a book. And it would be wonderful for you to start building an audience in this writing. I'm also thinking of doing a 7-week class for a couple hours over a day, excuse me, once a week for 7 weeks, about writing in a channeled vein, either opening your records or bringing in your guide and channeling that. And writing in that way is, that's how I wrote this book. I took a writing class thinking I'm going to learn how to write really compelling copy, so you'll all have lots of readings with me. But what came out on the first day of writing was the channeled introductory chapter. So things happen. I wasn't on my timeline. I had no idea I was going to write a book. I had no agenda about writing a book. I had no inkling about writing a book. It's literally, I went in trying to find a way to write really good flyers and stuff. I mean, they just laugh at me when I say that. And oh, okay, I'll get to you in a minute, Stephanie. That's good. But using the Akashic Records to assist you and to access the largest perspective of your subject matter is really what would be really, really good, and it gets you going in the direction of acknowledging the fact that you have a link to the divine, you have a link to your soul, and you have a link to your own Akashic records and to the spiritual momentum energy that comes from learning to open your Akashic record, which chapter 2 of my book is all about teaching you how to open your records. The rest of it is about using the records to explore certain topics and certain questions. So there's a lot of practice in here. But I think I will do that writing class, set that up pretty soon. I think that would be good. All right. Stephanie Ansley Miller says, I brought back 2 new animal guides from Costa Rica. Any insights on how they can support you? Well, I'm getting, since I don't know which animals you're talking about and whether they're spiritual animals or physical animals, kind of like you're active with the dragons. Stephanie's really good with dragons. She introduced me to dragon energy, like, and dragon guides. Yeah, like this was a whole new area that I was unacquainted with. And I'm going to call them a mystical version of an animal. and the two new Costa Rican, spiritual animals. Okay, great. Thank you for answering that. Now, one's a little growly, and I don't know if that's just because I'm checking in on this being, but this one feels very, very protective of you. Were there times when you were in Costa Rica where you felt exposed or unprotected, or that there was more that you needed to do to protect yourself while you were traveling in a new country and experiencing new things? But you had to be really open if you got two new spiritual animals to add to your pantheon. They're saying you're going to end up with a whole chess set of spiritual animals on your team. And it makes sense because this is how you, Stephanie, combine earthly, animal, earthy experiences, earth related, mother earth related experiences, and appreciation for this earth life and the physicality with spirituality. Is you link through these animal guides, and they give you lots of information, and they provide different skill sets. I think by in a few years, given the collection of mythical, spiritual animal guides that you're going to have, or a whole chess set full of both sides, by the way, chess set full of animal guides. I think you're going to be able to put together like a tarot deck and utilizing these beings for your own elucidation and clarification, and also to serve others and to have fun with. I think you'll really enjoy this. And it would give you format for the cards, how the cards are decorated and how they're laid out, and the strengths and what they elucidate. And you'll get to finding that each of these animals have certain powers and certain skill sets that they bring to the party that are distinct from one another. Suzanne Owen says, I'm talking with a dear friend about combining our talents and inspired ideas together, mine being herbal soaps and bath products and upcycled items, hers being crystals, astrology, and jewelry making. Should I take a leap in the next couple of months? Yeah, absolutely. Whenever we collaborate with others, it's a good idea. And they're using a funny word. They're using the word ratchets up the energy. It amplifies the energy, because the sum total of two is greater than the sum of its parts. Somebody sent me balloons. That's great. I don't know what. Thank you. So working together, you can be inspired and be prepared for having to work out some communication issues and some directional issues that are different. Good morning, Catherine Barron. You're here too. Yay. But Suzanne, in any partnership or collaboration, there will be different ideas, and they make feel like a clash, but don't take it too personally. Don't get too overwrought about it. Don't take it as a discounting of yourself. It's more like, how can I expand to include her perspective? How can I, along with my perspective? And, there's a saying, communication is a function of love, or vice versa. Love is a function of communication, and you just get to communicate it out. Um, and realize, there's Marie Lynn. Good morning. just communicate through it, Suzanne. Don't let that stop you. Don't let it completely derail everything, because the collaboration is worth the working through the stumbling blocks. Like any friendship, any relationship with another human, your mind may be picturing this, and you think she's got the same picture in her head, and she does, and she has a different picture in her head. And so it's really just like trying to match up your pictures and find a way to expand, to include, and bring them both into a certain level of harmony, and find that overlap. Where do they overlap, and how do they support one another? That is would be the strongest way to do this. Let's see, I'm looking at Stephanie says, wow, I wasn't expecting that answer. I'll start writing up my notes. Yeah, exactly. Yes, this is writing things down is very powerful, especially in the Akashic Records. There are 3 forms of communication that are powerful in the Akashic Records. The spoken word is the most powerful. Thoughts are, how does that work? The spoken word is the most powerful. Thoughts are kind of the least powerful. And writing, okay, that's what it is. Spoken, writing, and thoughts, in that order. Spoken, writing, and thoughts are the order of power. Spoken word is most powerful, writing things down is second powerful, and third is thoughts. And so when you have thoughts that you then write down, it concretizes the raw energy in the Akashic field into something far more human or far more substantial, like a table, a bookshelf, a light, or a new set of tarot cards, whatever that is. And so that's why, Suzanne, communicating with other people, speaking that out loud, and using I statements. Well, my picture is, or the idea that I'm having is, and looks like this. What is your idea, and how do they compare, and where is the overlap? So that communication is really key. And then maybe writing it down just to remind yourselves, and also making concrete agreements, written agreements, take the mystery out of everything. Written agreements take the mystery out of everything. Let me tell you the truth. My father was a math teacher, and every time I borrowed money from him, like he helped me buy a car on quite a few occasions, and I would have a loan with him, he would write down the agreement. I was to pay back this loan in monthly installments of X amount of dollars over a certain period of time in order to pay it off at a certain interest rate, because he charged me the interest rate that he was losing by not having that money in his investments. Typical math teacher, right? But it also taught me how to work with money, and the cost of money, and this is a very practical thing. And there was always like a loan repayment schedule, like, this is how it's going to look, and over time, from the first time I pay a payment, and then what's my last payment gonna look like way out here? So it was very, very elucidating. Very dad, the math teacher. But it also took the mystery out of it. There was no misunderstandings what the agreement was and whether or not I had kept it. So, that's why we write things down. Because it's one thing to discuss it, it's one thing to think it, but it's another thing to write it down. That's why there's so many, you have to accept this. on, before they'll let you use it or be it or work with it. So I'm just gonna look at my Suzanne says, thank you. That's good. I'm loving this. This is really good, folks. You guys are amazing. Really, really amazing. Asking some really good questions. And do you see how the guides will go into a question from the point of view of how it supports you and what's good about it and how to work with it even more. And it's in the Akashic Records, there's a compact wholeness to the energy and the information that is there. And it's the thing I love about the Akashic Records or channeling is that I get to learn things from the guides that I don't know. Me, Annie, that little old human sitting here trying to be useful to you guys. And it's just trying to say what comes through in the most distinct and clear manner. So it's most empowering and most informative for you. The other thing about the Akashic Records that it's all explained here in my book, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, $24 on Amazon.com, or you can send me personally $30 and I will write a special note on the inside cover, sign and date it, and I will ship it to you myself because I love you and I want you to have this. The other two things are it's energy first in the Akashic Records and information second. So as I am working in the Akashic field or with your questions, there's a certain quality to the energy. What does it feel like? Is there a physical sensation that it goes through? Is it stimulating a particular chakra more than others? Or is it stimulating two chakras so that they can work more in balance with one another? It's what is the energy doing? What's the quality of light? What's the vibrational frequency feel like? That's the energy, following the energy. And the second part is the information. And because getting past our little brain minds that contain all of the formatting and conditioning and the rules and regs from our family and our ancestral tribe, getting past all this human level stuff. If the guides go in through the energy first, then I'm taking in the energy as it is and running it through my system and utilizing the energy first. And that contains transformation just in what it is and how it is. So energy first, information second. Let's see what else we got here. Dun, 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 dun. Wanted to see if there are any more questions coming up. How we doing? What time is it? We'll have more time. Catherine Barron, do you have a question? Marie Lynn, do you have a question? There are no dumb questions. Questions are good for us. It's like what my brother says, open your mouth and remove all doubt. Get the information that you need to go on about your life and be fulfilled and successful and happy and calm and collected. Um, you know, and yes, Catherine Barron, all the guides are operating from the highest and clearest 100% God light for you and for everyone. Yeah. She's a stickler about that, and I love that. I think we should be sticklers about certain things and let go of other things that we think are sticking poison, especially if they're used against us. You know, when I myself use my character defects against me, like I weaponize them against myself, that's really not very loving or fair play when I deal with myself. But when I use them as a way to explore, is this the highest perspective I can have? Is this the most loving thought cycle I can be in to create my life? That's when it gets interesting. That's when it gets really interesting. Cheryl Mullick says, I'm over here wondering what the heck my book subject matter should be. Well, from the readings I've done with you, Cheryl, and from looking at your energy now, it's the way that you combine physical life with spiritual life, and you use spiritual life to assist your physical life. And, you know, how do you use your spiritual information to deal best with your aging mother or your husband or your son? Or, you know, how do you use spiritual information to make your physical life more beautiful and joyful and loving to yourself and to those who are connected with you? Because you always had that bigger perspective going on. How can I make this better for my little tribe here? How can I take this to the next level for my tribe? And I would have to say you're very successful at it. And acknowledging what works, even in the littlest thing, acknowledging what works. Good morning, Teresa. Good to see you. Wow. And start to write about that and start to uh, formulate that. And even when you're out doing your chores with the animals or, you know, all of that, when you're thinking about it, you know, just make note to yourself of what is showing up for you and how it works. Like, what kind of state of being do you put yourself in to be around the farm animals? Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have ducks, chickens, sheep, maybe even some goats. But I have that image of you anyway. And how do you make yourself friendly, yet a leader amongst these animals? You know, what words are there if you were to describe it? There's a thought. And that's literally looking at the energy of who you be around the animals to create trust, cohesiveness, harmony, and yet not sacrifice your leadership. How does that work? And I think you do that also with your son when times get difficult. Um, she's okay. You said, okay. Sure. Oh, you got a whole goats, horses, chickens, cats, dogs. And she says she sings to them. So the are they familiar songs? Do they have words? Words carry energy. Words have frequency to them. Words cause pictures to be conjured in the imagination and the understandings of others, whether they're animal or human. And tones, vibration. And there's a purity that goes on there, sort of a single peaceful focus that you get into when you're dealing with them. So, you know, and there are different energies, I would have to imagine, for the different category of animal. The horses may not like what the chickens respond to, right? Or maybe they all like it. Maybe it's, the group as a whole that you are singing to and and interacting with. Let's see. Cheryl says, she laughs. I make them up. They love it. I don't know if it sounds good, but I don't care. Ha ha. My son and I sing each day on the way to school. Well, for eons, ever since humanity became a vocal being, they sang, they chanted, they uttered, they screeched, they howled, they mourned out loud, they celebrated out loud, they ululated or, that kind of thing. They made sounds to each other and to the rest of the world. They made warning sounds, they made compassion sounds, come hither sounds. They made fight sounds, they made fear sounds, all kinds of things. This has been in the nature of humanity since the beginning. And so to me, it makes so much sense that you sing with your son on the way to school. It's an organizing principle. It organizes the energy. It gives your son something to narrow his focus on if he gets too spread out or too jumbled up. It gives you something to do to remind yourself of what's important here. And it's a joyful thing. When I was cleaning houses for a living, back when I was the end of my teenage years, and seeing the psychic therapist who introduced me to the light, I tell the story in my book, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, how I was introduced to the light by this psychic therapist. And and she hired me to do some house cleaning for her. And I would sing the whole time I was there. Didn't happen in other houses. But when I was there at her house, and I swear the singing that came through were like Irish ballads that went on forever, or just the melodies and the choruses went on forever. And I would, it would take me 5 hours to clean this lady's house. It was really large and a little behind schedule on the cleaning cycle. So it took a long time to do things like get the mold out of the bathtub and stuff. But she said she would come back in the house and it was like the energy was transformed in it. And I don't know what I was doing. I was just did what came naturally. And I like that, what comes naturally. What comes naturally is a good cue or clue that you're on the right track. Right? Thank you, Cheryl Moloch. Thank you, Suzanne Owen. It's a good day song each morning to reset our busy mornings. Yeah, exactly. That's the ticket. Don't you love it? Okay. My throat is getting dry. My voice is getting a little craggly. I think that means we're coming to the end of today's session. If you want a reading with me, the easiest way to schedule a reading with me is to go to my website, anniechannels.com. com. And that's if you want the full Zoom reading with a recording of the Zoom video so that you have it and you can watch it again later. You can also do the one question personal guidance. It's called personal guidance. You get one question, you ask one question, pay $28. It's ridiculously low. And I send you a voice memo that channels an answer for you. And you get a lot for your $28. It's very affordable, and it's quite a value, if you ask me. And it at least puts it in the range of affordability for a lot of people. My regular readings, my Zoom readings run an hour, a little bit more, and they cost $204. So that gives you a little perspective. And you can buy my book at a local bookstore here in Novato called Copperfield Books on Grant Avenue. Good morning, Pat Hansen. And you can buy it at a local crystal store in Novato called Marin Mystic Treasures on Grant Avenue in Novato. I'm working on getting my book in other bookstores. Or you can just go online on Amazon and look up Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness by Reverend Annie Batchelder. And you can get it there. I love you all. You are the cat's pajamas. You are the light of the world. And I can't tell you how much it means to me to interact with you. And I appreciate you so much for this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.